special part of the year, and we just had a pay-per-view that had one of the biggest and I think one of the best endings probably in WWE in the most recent history. And literally the Fiend getting lit on freaking fire, and such an impactful moment like that, wouldn't shift the tone of Monday Night Raw to the core. That they still had something while they had like Drew McIntyre that's supposed to be a badass. Uh, they're trying to make you flee a more to like intellectual Marvel plus a just strong badass, Irish badass, and three little indie midgets coming around in a main event in a 6-man tag, and they call it a holiday. Oh God, it just feels a bit cataclysmic, and it comes to the anti-climactic mystic. I'm trying to figure out a word. It's that hard whenever you feel this disappointed. After it's like your son just made a deep catch, but then it was recorded to be incomplete. Because that's how much of big hopes I had for this episode of Monday Night Raw. After a big-ass Inferno match. Now, it did come to play later on. I mean, usually something like Randy Orton lighting a man on fire, then after literally winning the match because the bell didn't even freaking win after ring after literally the stipulation matches, you light a part of the man on fire, and then Randy went overkill after getting literal lighter fluid and lighting the dude on fire. So you think Adam Pearce was like, even though it's the Fiend, I have to suspend you. You don't light a man on fire after you just win a match. Like something like that to at least bring up some edge. All we had was Alexa Bliss back, and it's fine enough to at least, get her back, even though she hasn't been on TV for the last couple weeks. Then Charlotte and Asuka winning the WWE Women's Tag Team titles. It just feels like bland ass conflict. We're just back to regular Raw. Like nothing about the shift has changed any sort of the storylines. It is just, oh, but the Fiend is just scary and fat and just, damn it, Randy. The promo wasn't that bad, but it just felt like there should have been more, especially when you're trying to build to the factor into justifying your reasons for literally putting a man on fire. That's just a mini rant on the factor that I felt like this should have been drawn up better. But besides the point, what else did we have on Raw? We issued a 6-man street fight that is still a regular 6-man tag in the main event. The Hurt Business that have every championship on the brand except the WWE title. I'm not counting female titles, so shut the hell about that overdone joke. And we opened up with Mandy Rose returning in action after an injury before Survivor Series by the hands of Nia Jax, and issued, well, you guys are not the champions, so you guys got it back in line. And it felt like a bland ass promo. I didn't mind the recent comebacks by Charlotte. It just felt like it was just super bland, especially when these women lack a semblance of charisma. And the match was okay. We had decent bicycle knees. Every handspring, I swear, this is literally Dana Brooks' offense. Do weak punches, a weak kick. She does this weird little back kick whenever somebody's over the ring post. Then she'll do every handspring, elbow. Sometimes it looks athletic. Sometimes it just looks overdone because we get that this chick's supposed to be athletic, and then that's it. A bicycle knee for a splash that only gets a near fall. And then wrapped in a surprise Kakina clutch, Shayna and Nia Jax, like, the most obviously supposed to be the most impulsive women in the roster, and obviously not supposed to be over the same page and understand they've been the tag team for a long time, but why not break it up? I'm sick of seeing these chicks on TV, especially when they can't do promos. They forcibly get the most TV time over to just beat up Lana in most of her storyline. Now now Asuka and Charlotte are tag team champions, and it was awkward enough because of course she was issuing off a favor after helping out with Asuka, trying to get a title shot. But everybody else is focused on the women's championships. So later on the night, it'll be Asuka and Charlotte Flair facing off against Lacey Evans and Peyton Royce. Oh, bro, if I can't tell you how damn boring it is, did you see these mismatched tag teams? They broke up. They broke up freaking the Iconics just to make Peyton Royce just have the most forcible tag team. They don't even have a character. They're just Peyton Royce and Lacey Evans. That's it. That's just fucking boring. Who wants to do that? Oh, God. We also had, of course, another segment involving the Hurt Business bullying backstage guys. They don't bully wrestlers. They're not cool. They bully backstage dudes all because they ripped off a New Day T-shirt. Did they try to the New Day try to advise something? Well, no, they weren't even trying to issue back a title rematch. They were Xavier was just talking some woke crap, coming over being respectable about the loss against the Hurt Business. These guys didn't even want to issue a rematch after all the whiny rematches they gotten from the Hurt Business. And you had Xavier wearing a suit, Kofi's shirtless with a freaking hoodie, so you don't have to see the concave ass chest, and they just drove off. Then it was issued over with the Hardy Bros. That, like, the tag team has potential to be cool if you just make them like weirdo, enlightened potheads. But I know WWE can't go that deep into making an adult type gimmick tag team, even though you have the gall to put a guy on fire, show some semblance of nudity, cussing. Uh, what's with you guys? The inconsistencies with the tone that WWE tried to make on their TV show is abhorrent, terrible, weak, and it doesn't fall up to the next following week because you want to just shift it to keep your narrative to making everything PG. But sometimes you want to give the fans what they want to make it feel hardcore, and you want to make it adult. Like, come on, man, make a semblance of your roster seem cool. And earlier than not, they put freaking Angel Garza against Drew Gulak in a squash match. Hit up with a bit of technicians. Of course, they do the simple. He tries to seduce a female. I have potential in Angel Garza, but I feel like they're just gonna make him job as soon as he's like outdone with a storyline or something, or some kind of crap feud. I have really low expectations coming into like having some potential with a luchador that can speak some English, has a character, and has a decent build. I don't know. They might give him a forgettable run with the U.S. title or something. That like might be too late. So that's all my opinion are on the match. Angel Garza won with his weak ass exposition little double hook DDT. It's called the Wing Clipper. It's terrible. Next we have Jeff Hardy and Matt Riddle facing off against MVP and Bobby Lashley. The match was pretty decent. I'll give it that. We had a decent like little assistance with a moonsault. I think it was supposed to be a corkscrew moonsault, somersault by corkscrew senton by Matt Riddle. I thought that was cool. Counters off whispers to the wind. Of course, there was some moves with some big boots. Riddle was tossed to the steel steps by Shelton. And then it ends off with a decent array of moves, and there was a twist of fate countered into a reverse into a full Nelson, and you still make the group look like jobbers. Lashley's just amazing in the ring. I just feel like he should be world champion as well as US champion, or at least hand the title off to MVP to let him job out to somebody over the mid card. But yeah, at least they still making the Hurt Business strong with this joke ass tag team. At least they're making them a semblance of threatening. I don't really mind. We also had Miz TV that we had the Miz trying to issue an apology over the AJ Styles for cashing in during their ladder match, even though it was the dumbest strategy ever. Like, at least during a chairs match with freaking Daniel Bryan had to wait. Like, I know that these guys are beating the piss out of each other because they were at least feuding for like 3 months at this point, or 4 months. They imploded the ring. They imploded the ring back at Vengeance. They they tossed it up in Survivor Series, and then it was a chair match at TLC, and Daniel Bryan caught up in the opportunity, and he cashed in to become world champion for the first time. Basic enough to wait for your opportunity. It's a TLC match. If I was waiting for Edge or Cena to lose in a TLC match, I mean, then I know it's gonna take a lot to beat these guys down to make sure you don't get the title. So why couldn't Miz wait until that long? The dumbest thing. You make just a Miz act like a retard, and he's trying to cold verse his chances of getting back the briefcase, all because he didn't cash in. It was Miz doing it for him. I mean Morrison doing it for him. So that was his thing, and I like I like the promo. At least he was acting more. You do like the acting chops with Miz. It looks conservative and it looks sincere, but I can't sell the factor of him being uh a world champion. Even if he has a legit character and he has an actor, a C-list actor gimmick, it's just so mid-cardy. It's bullcrap, especially when he doesn't conduct much of a room. You don't see him having that much charisma, or at least that much of a major build. If he was a bit more ripped and wasn't that annoying of a voice, then probably more people would take him seriously because Miz has the potential to at least be a Hall of Famer. But I just feel like he's just not main event status. So at least luckily for him, the briefcase is out. But if he wants a rematch, I guess he can just keep chasing the belt. Uh, there needs to be some semblance of a main event scene, not just Sheamus and Keith Lee, because Keith Lee needs work and Sheamus is just too bland enough to even chase the title at the first place. We don't have that much of an awe-inspiring main event scene. Plus, we came from Elias feuding with Jeff Hardy. Sure, Jeff Hardy isn't should be feuding with the world title at this point. Oh God, I think somebody ate my damn gum. And plus, he's just now feuding with the Lucha House Party. Oh God, why? Jackson Riker faced off against Grand Metalik. He did shock over with shot over, doing the belly to belly suplex. The guy looks great. Just it's good to at least have him over with a mouthpiece, but it's the other way around because he's bodyguarding. He hits his cool spine buster on Grand Metalik, but this better not be a constant that they just weekly just job out. I mean, squash competition. Because just going to be keeping over that Jackson Riker is going to be doing most of the work. And Elias is just going to be shut off. He should be like trying to chase the world title, make him chase the title, let him gain some momentum, at least to the upper main event scene. Don't upper mid card to main event scene. Don't downgrade him over with just having him with jobbers, because that's just going to devalue a guy that has major momentum. I mean, major potential. Has literally a SoundCloud album, and is the most charismatic on the roster. You can't get me wrong on that. And plus, he's built like it. Plus, you have Riker. You can build a story over that because I'm really getting bored with Miz and Morrison and Styles just chasing the championship. Plus, after Miz TV, he came around getting uh, uh, assaulted literally by the baby faces by the most corniest way I've ever seen. They come around trying to be like the most phenomenal nightmare, and all of the cookies were on my table. Were no tens. Where you get it? They were trying to do like a Christmas Carol threatening little assault, and then it ends up with all the momentum coming with Keith Lee and Sheamus, where Sheamus just came up getting accidentally drop kicked by Keith Lee. So it foreshadows to the main event, where also they had an assault backstage, an argument backstage where McIntyre had to cool it down and try to keep it centered on the task at hand to for the main event. So that's practically it. We also had Asuka versus Liv Morgan and Peyton Royce, and the match was way too inconceited when these women were supposedly supposed to be in the same page, especially when they're not main event, when they're not top of the card females. The matches shouldn't be that long. But counters over Big Boot, Big Boot. Lacey Evans just kept getting her ass. No, Peyton Royce kept getting her ass kicked. Roundhouses. It ended up with obviously Charlotte and Asuka picking up the dub. Uh, this was just so bland. There was also questions to be asked over Randy Orton lighting the Fiend on fire. And it was a decent promo, I'll give it that. I just thought it was just blanded off, and it just ended up with Alexa making her return with a swing set, a fucking swing set. You would think like a chick like her that's supposed to be in the same mental state as like normal Bray Wyatt would try to. Well, she did make burn jokes, and it was unfunny as RVD's stand-up special. Either than that, it just looked a bit weak in my opinion. It was underwhelming, especially in the sight of literally her abductor being nearly killed off being burned to death. She did bring up like barbecue and made jokes about it after. She said that the Fiend will be returning. So at least we're still gonna have this ongoing feud. I wish there was bigger stuff over for the Fiend, but they'll be held up here for Randy Orton. Oh my god, kill me. If this is coming over a Raw that was a 1.5 and a 1.7, if that was 2006, or at least some of the 2000s when Raw and SmackDown were still, like, not as big as Attitude Era, but still watchable in the factor that you actually heard kids talking about what happened on Raw and SmackDown. Now kids barely talk about it, and it's supposed to be for children. We want badasses. We want grim stuff to happen. Children don't want to look at Power Rangers most of the time. Yes, it's cool sometimes, but they want to look at stuff like Berserk, Breaking Bad, adult shit. They don't want to look at this kitty garbage, especially when you're gonna have something called a Christmas Street Fight. After TLC matches, cashing in, burning alive, like betrayal and a grim stuff like pyromaniacs, stuff like that doesn't belong where children are watching. It's ridiculous. So the main event was settled. It was a six-man tag Christmas street fight. And thanks we weren't in a certain setting, we wouldn't do that Elm Stream crap. So, goodness, the match was basic enough. It was just a regular six-man tag until everybody came with candy cane like kendo sticks, uh, bland belly-to-belly suplexes, big boots. Literally, these guys been having tag team matches every time on Raw. So not much of the tension shift, except it seems like they're building up a little bit of a rivalry here with Sheamus and Keith Lee. We had decent drop kicks, a DDT by the Miz for a near fall. The match kept dragging out for just comedic over spots, especially they did I think his name is Oga. I'm gonna call him Jordan. So the big black servant, bodyguard for AJ Styles, had that same spot over with Morrison, where they just awkwardly offcut him tossing Morrison into a table. Surprise, surprise, the baby faces won because of course heels, especially heels that's supposed to be cowardice, can't look strong for the life of them. So it ends with the baby faces winning, but Sheamus, after Keith Lee tried to steal after Sheamus wanted his little moment, tagged himself at hit the brogue kick. He hits the spear. Keith Lee tagged himself without Sheamus knowing. He hits the spirit bomb. That's it. It ends with a surprise brogue kick, and Sheamus trying and Drew scolding over Sheamus about coexistence. So that's practically the show. I'm gonna give this a 4. This is a 4 to a 5. This was a basic show. If it wasn't for TLC putting me in such an average mood, and where I thought the show was a bit weak from weak in the middle of it, but later on it got really better, then I wouldn't be complaining. But by God, I thought this was a really underwhelming Raw, especially after what we ended off last night. Are you from the other night of TLC? Like, come on, man. And this is where they're expecting a bit more attendance coming into the Royal Rumble next year. So I suspect a bit more. I want freaking drama. I want more adult crap. I know we won't get that, but At least have some semblance of making a show, like a soap opera. Don't be making this kiddie garbage BS, especially when WWE obviously are faintly trying to retain back some grit. Like, come on. That's it coming from me. If you guys enjoyed the review, please comment down below. I know I make late reviews, but it's better off that I just, it takes me a while to make, some semblance of a review. I don't want to, like, just do it nights after, just hours after the show coming off, because it feels like it's not that big of a topic to go over, and I seem to go, like, dribbling off, in my opinion, so I'm better off just doing this type of stuff. That's it for me. One more subscriber, man. One more subscriber to hit over 30. Hopefully you make that come true. That's it coming from me. Happy holidays.